Morning. I still can't see anything. Oh, I can't hear you either. Can you hear me? No, I can't hear. Hello. Hello. Wait, what is going on?
Can you hear me?
Now
No. Okay. That was weird.
it took a while. I still can't open anything in the lessons. You want me to show you? Or should I show you last time?
Go ahead and show me. I don't remember if you showed me.
Here. Is it sharing? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so weird because I was on there like 6:50. So the same thing that happened.
6:50.
Well, it's sorry,
I don't think.
I'm on West Coast, so it's 7 o'clock here. So I was literally I've been sitting on that line for like 15 minutes, and then I realized what time it was, and I was like, why is nobody here? So that's so
But
weird.
it's the same link?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Oh, that's really weird.
And
that was me last week.
that happened to me a couple times before. So just where I was always like texting, like, do I have the right link? So it's weird. I don't know. It's a Zoom thing. Good morning.
Good morning.
What are you doing on
Um,
the West Coast?
We're in Vegas.
Nice.
We're going to see Kenny Chesney tomorrow at the Sphere.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dan,
very nice.
it's my
It's
50th
your 50th?
birthday this year. Yeah, in August. So this is Danny's surprise trip to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
it's a good one. I'm excited.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Good, I
Mhm.
think. I'm trying to figure out
Uh-oh.
why. Um,
Do you need me to keep sharing?
oh, wait, yeah. So I'm trying to look at it so everything's grayed out on your end, but when I go in,
Mhm.
wait, go
So,
back.
right, click here, or I click here. It looks like I'm
And see where it
starting it.
says start? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've done this a few other classes. Yeah, and then there's nothing. I can't. And the thing is, last week it at least showed me that class 1, 2, and 3 had something, but it was
Mhm.
grayed out, like I couldn't access it. Now it shows nothing, nothing.
All right, let me see. Oh.
Because it works like it works for the PCC class.
All right, so it shows you.
Oops, sorry.
I mean, it shows that you were on 8 minutes ago, which probably is delayed, but um,
No, it's about right. A little before 10.
okay. I'm not seeing anything under activities though.
Because I can't
Courses.
access anything. If I go
Yeah,
to
it
the
says
PCC class, will that show if I'm active?
so the PCC says um Actually, that says 0 as well. Have you done anything in there?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm like, yeah, I've downloaded every chapter so far. I can scroll through it right now. You can look and see it's like working fine.
Hmm. That's just so weird. So if I go back to,
I'll log out.
program settings, and Laura, you can get into everything.
I think so. I'm gonna double check.
I just logged in and logged out. It was no, didn't change it.
All right, so let's see if I go to open support ticket.
Let's do. I don't have anything under class 3. Am I supposed to?
3 was last week, right?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
this 4 today? I think today was 5. Let me see.
So I only have class 1 and class 2.
Yeah,
Class
it's
1.
not, I think something's wrong.
And all the other ones, like class 3 is blank, and then all other ones are locked out.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm gonna have to switch systems and it's gonna be a pain in the frickin' ass.
Do you individually give each person permission to see in certain things?
Mm-hmm.
That should,
So it says students must complete lessons in order with future lessons appearing gray until previous ones are completed. Okay. This can affect students' learning path. Students should handle this automatically when the click mark lesson is complete. But they can't access the lesson. Students already started the course. Change to lessons they've completed won't be visible to them if you need. No. They cannot, and you can't access the first one either, right? The first lesson in order to mark it complete.
So for me, the introduction class just says upload a file inside the block. And then class 2 then actually has
I couldn't unmute.
module 2 and then the guides, the 3 guides.
Right, but I can't access literally anything
Okay.
here. That fun screen of gray death. So like, yeah, I can't even see what you're talking about, Lori, as far as filling in.
Wow.
All right, so let me try this. Um, so module. Oh, where is module 1? Oh, that's the one I was going to redo. But yeah, I don't see it in there. Let's see, I'm just going to put something in there. I wonder if that's the problem. Let's do this. Upload. Save.
I'm just grabbing my
Ooh.
dog's bed, but I can.
Okay, so now I have to log out. Back in, log out. Log in. And then. Oops. No, it didn't answer my question because other students can. I hate when people don't listen.
Automated responses are like the bane of my life. They're like, get behind me, Satan.
Yes. Okay, so again, it's not working.
Wild.
Editing the course block by clicking the gear icon at the top right corner of the program. Check if any lesson release settings need adjusted. For this, try editing the course block by clicking the gear icon in the top right corner. That means. So do you see anything under one, Lori?
I only see that you need to add something there.
Can you log out and back in?
Yep.
Y'all see John's son graduated this past weekend?
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
I loved how tiny you looked.
I wearing my 2-inch heels, which I just give up. Just
Funny.
well, and also it's bad enough with John. I've learned in the course of our marriage, I have to speak like literally up so he hears it. Because otherwise it's just going out. So that this weekend,
Oh,
like
it's
when I
too
was
funny.
talking to John and Kaden, I was like talking up to both of them.
That's so funny.
That's hysterical. So, Cheryl, I have the same thing after I logged out.
I don't understand.
Oh, uh, guidelines for accessing presentation,
Yeah, I just threw
PCC.
something in there.
Yep, so that showed up. And
Okay.
then class
And
2 is the same. And then class 3 has nothing.
um, okay. Mm, mm. So I think what I'm going to do is disconnect everybody from it
Okay.
and re-add and see if that works. Let's see. Okay. And I hate when AI is pushy. Yeah, I'm trying to fix it. Uh, please stop talking to me. Hmm. Oh, I can log in as you. Let's do that.
You need my login?
Nope,
Okay.
it lets me do it
Find it.
automatically.
I think I don't have my journal in there.
Hmm. Okay, so yeah, you can't actually courses in progress. No in progress courses at the moment. So that is not right. It's not, it doesn't even show you as starting it.
So weird.
It really is. And then if let me try going under here, Lori.
And it's not a different email, right, Holly?
Mm-mm. No, because I can go back to the homepage and I can click on all the cohorts we've done and see everything. The PCC I've been downloading every week. Really a
Yeah,
fluke.
that is really weird.
We know I'm overly responsible. Like I haven't tried.
All right, so
Wow,
if
I got
I go,
defensive there. I should maybe get coached on that. I'm coaching with Kim tonight. Maybe I should pick that up.
oh my God. Um,
Oh my God, that's
all right.
hysterical.
Yeah, I don't even see it under upcoming events for you. So I wonder, wait a minute, what did I put there? Okay, I'm going to change this self-paced. I don't know why I have it marked that way. To all available. Save. Close. And then too funny, the baby is saying Poppy and Gigi all morning.
Oh,
Oh,
And so if I go under this under Lori, let's see, course in progress, start. So see it's asking, do you want to start lesson 1, which I'm starting for you.
oh, thank
Mark is
you.
complete. And then, no, this is Lori.
and that's weird because it's complete on my side,
No, and then 3 isn't started as well, it says.
but I have nothing under 3,
And then 4 is there.
and I don't have 4.
Log out and log back in. Um,
That is really weird. There's like a disconnect.
yeah, something's log in. So,
I mean, I hope you can figure it out because this
okay.
is a really cool program.
So, I
Okay.
know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Holly, log out and log back in.
Okay.
So so when I logged out and logged back in this time, I got a different hello back, which said like welcome back. So that's a good sign.
Okay.
Welcome to your homepage.
It's having me restart the lessons. So I'm going to do that. So it had me restart class 2. I'm going to mark it as complete. Class 1 is completed. Class 2 is completed. And I now have class 3.
Love it, Dem Heron.
So complete 3 and make sure you have 4.
And I have 4.
Okay. And what about you, Holly?
Got it. Well, I got class 1 introduction, class 2, there's a lot, 4 things, 3, yay, 4,
Good
nothing
job,
for
Cheryl.
5. Woohoo!
Ooh, let me shut
I
my
sure-
door here. All right. So whatever it was, it's cleared now.
And now you know how to
Um,
do it for other people.
yeah, it was a pain, but yeah, I can do
Yeah.
it now. All right.
Would you have Jess
Now
do it?
she hates this. She hates up coach.
Oh,
It's not very intuitive, really. It's very
yeah.
bulky, but what it does is cool. Like
Right.
there's no other platform that really does it like this. Really, it's systematic. Once you're in it and it's flowing, it's so easy to do everything.
Yeah.
But from a, an admin standpoint, it's not very intuitive. Okay, now did all that. Thank you guys for being very flexible with this.
We love you so much.
It's important for you to get it
Guys.
right.
Yes, it is. Because God forbid if there was anybody else in this class, that'd be a problem. Um,
But at least now you
But-
know if it happens in the other ones, kind of like how where to go, right?
yeah. Yep.
Because yeah, you're right. Some people aren't really flexible.
Oh, no, we
No,
did
I mean
4.
even in the
We're fine.
PCC class, which is running fine,
Yeah.
people were like, "Well, where do you do this and where do you do that?" I'm like, "Well, that's really easy because it's right in the program." Like,
And this class is not 3 weeks old. This class is very many weeks old.
right.
I'm pretty concerned about the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
That just shows
Okay.
like that they recognize it's halfway through and they haven't done anything.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Okay. So now the reality is that we are actually on class 5, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, I just opened 4. This is what we did last week.
Okay. So then where's 5? I don't think I uploaded it. So let me get it.
I have nothing. Right. This is exciting that it's all there.
Like when you get your syllabus and your new notebook for the semester, and you're like,
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I miss
right.
the smell of like you remember growing up like the new like pencil cases and all that?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Kids don't
Yeah.
even know.
I know.
yeah. Nope, they don't. Okay, so 5 is avoiding disqualifiers. I think I'm just going to put it in. Yeah, I'll just put it in the chat and then I'll upload it after. Why it said that? But... Okay. So this is chat file computer. Okay, you should be able to access that.
Boom.
You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so we just want to kind of go over staying in a coach role, and hopefully, hopefully you're not seeing any things that are going to be disqualifying for your mentees, but we want to make sure that we can help them if we do see it in a recording before they submit anything to the ICF. So this chapter is just to help you recognize behaviors that disqualify coaching at the credentialing level and build the discipline to stay in the into your coach role as well while mentoring. And where's my mouse? Oh. So we're going to talk about enforcing ethical alignment, partnership, and reflective guidance instead of instructing, fixing, or evaluating. So both roles here. So we want to make sure that we have role clarity for us, making sure that and everything that we learn for us obviously goes over into the clients as well when we're listening to their recordings. But, sometimes we have that fine line of encouraging growth and really slipping into assessment or teaching. And I do this as well. It's tough for me because most of the time I'm assessing. And so the occasional one that I'm doing for, for mentoring, I've already instructed them 90% of the time. I've already been their instructor. So they kind of expect this from me. So you probably will come across the same thing, like past students, maybe from WCI or whatever might come to you. That probably is going to be your initial group of people anyway that know you. So, you might have the same issues. And so we have to kind of be very cognizant of it. So primary function of a coach is partnering with the client to create awareness. And if it's overused, you can, drive outcomes or lead. Mentor coach is supporting a coach's development through feedback. And then the overuse of it can shift into performance judgment, which we don't want to do unless we're assessing. Instructor teaching skills or concepts, and the overuse can, have you take over their learning process. Make it a learning process through the mentoring when really it's an awareness process. Supervisor, which I don't think either one of you do that, but I'm a supervisor too, so I do get all this jumped together sometimes. But that's where we're evaluating ethical behaviors, oftentimes after the incidents. And if we overuse it, we can fall into kind of a policing attitude. And then the evaluator, which is scoring for credentialing or certification. And if we overuse it, we remove that safety from the learning space. So as a mentor coach, your role is to reflect, not to direct. This doesn't mean that you can't answer questions, by the way, when I'm going over these things. If a mentee asks you a specific question, feel free to answer it. Like, it's not like in coaching where you're going to try and reflect it back to them unless it makes sense to do that in that moment. But like, if they're asking you something very specific about, like, well, what do you think the ICF assessor is going to think about this section of a recording? You can do that. It's just, we don't want to be that, we don't want to lead with that kind of a role, right? So some common disqualifiers in coaching. So certain behaviors can lead to failure in the credentialing evaluations if they compromise partnership presence or alignment with the ICF competencies. So we do need to recognize these. And actually, these are the things that you will say right off the bat. Like, if I get a recording and in the first 10 minutes they fail, which is typically when they will, I just stop. I don't even continue. And I let them know that we need to get on a call to discuss this, but I have not completed that evaluation, and I'll explain when we speak. And then I'll just explain that they failed it right from the beginning. So I didn't see I don't want to go through in the time of evaluating it for something that they don't have an opportunity to choose to submit, right? Now, a lousy recording they can learn from. So I'll still go through it, even if it's not going to be the one that, they choose. But if they disqualify, that's different. Like, we don't want to waste any time on it. We want to get to the point. This is why it's disqualified. Let's get another recording. So we want to be able to recognize these, avoid it help the clients avoid it, and also avoid it for us, obviously. So advising or fixing. So anytime you see a coach saying, have you tried making a list, or making those suggestions, right, without being in partnership and asking for that permission. Coaching around the wrong goal. So they're they're using their agenda versus the client agenda. Interrupting emotional exploration with solutions. So that's again the leading and directing. Taking over the structure of the session flow, neglecting or establishing a clear agreement, or giving opinions or judgments instead of reflecting. So these are basically the coach moving into more of a consultant role or a teaching role. Just coming out of that coach role basically is what a lot of these add up to. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that if they're doing it, if there's like a little bit of it here, like they might make one directive statement or something, that doesn't fail the whole recording, obviously, right? So you have to look at these statements as well and say, okay, did they make one suggestion? That's not going to fail the recording. But if the whole recording is them just making suggestions and directing and leading, then yeah, that fails. That's a disqualifier. If there's no coaching agreement, that's a disqualifier. Meaning topic and outcome. You might not always have a measurement, right? Measurement's not really 100% required at an ACC level if they have a topic and outcome. So it wouldn't disqualify them off the bat, but it might, it might not do, it might not evolve into a good recording, obviously, if they don't have that, but it's not an automatic disqualifier. Any kind of judgment is typically a disqualifier because that's going to fall under the ethics, right? Anything that falls under the ethics, those are typically disqualifiers. So if they're blatant, so you have to watch out for that. I've reviewed sessions where like a coach will say, I'm trying to think of the last one because we kind of had a little back and forth about it. She said to the client, I think she said, I don't think it was necessary for you to, something like that. Like, I don't think it was necessary for you to react or for you to use that tone of voice with your client or something like that, or with your family member. And whatever it was like very judgmental. And, it was something along those lines. And I said, what made you say, like, what made you say that? Like, it doesn't matter, first of all, what you think. It matters what the client thinks. So instead, ask the client, well, how did you feel saying that to your family member? Like, whatever. And also the tone of voice was way judgmental. It was just terrible. It's like, I have no idea like why any coach would say that to anybody, let alone, to a client. But anyway, so you have to just, that's like the judgment, tone of voice. If they're consistently, again, giving their opinion or telling them what they think they should do or shouldn't do. So an example here is what you need to do. Oh, well, okay. So what you need to do is stop worrying and just go for it. Why does this fail? Because the coach directs rather than partners, right? What you need to do, coach, we don't say that, right? We don't say it as a coach and we don't say it as a mentor. We don't even say it as an assessor, really. We don't use those words. Like, what you need to do is, it's judgmental as well. So staying in the role of coach, even when you're mentoring, your presence and mindset matters just as much as your technical knowledge, right? They're there for your presence and they're there for your mindset because you want to be encouraging, right? You want to be, even if they're not doing well, you still want to be encouraging because a lot of people won't do well just because of the fact that they're recording. And that's a fact. People go, when I hit that record button, I forget how to coach, and I know because I know that you guys have done it as well. So that feeling. So, we have to help them to realize that that's everybody. It's not just them. And that we can help them to overcome it. So we just need to be, have a good mindset and be very present with them. And help them to be more present in their coaching as well to overcome some of these problems. So some key behaviors to maintain your coach alignment, and that's just ask before offering feedback. So would it be helpful if I shared what I noticed? Now, again, you're going to have an agreement. You're going to explain all this in your first meeting, and you're going to tell them that you're going to be giving them feedback and that you're going to share what you noticed and not noticed. But this just allows them to be in charge, right? And so it's another way to be present with them and have that mindset that's going to help them to move forward. Focus on evidence and behavior, not personal opinion. There's times when I listen to a question, and I'm like, oh, I would not have asked that question, right? But it's not, I'm not them, right? So I have to, like, if I think it's something that was inappropriate, I'll ask why that, why did they feel like they had to ask that or something. But if it's just something that I didn't, again, something I wouldn't have asked and I didn't feel like maybe, they could have asked it a different way or something. And it's not technically something at core competency wise or ethical wise, I don't say it, right? It's not important, it's not relevant. Allow some silence or struggle instead of jumping in. This isn't every kind of coaching, right? We want to give them the opportunity to think. And maybe struggle for an answer. That's fine as well. And then always return them to their intention of learning. So I will tell you that a lot of people come into the sessions, the mentoring sessions, just wanting you to tell them which recording is going to pass. And so they just want to do boom, 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 boom. Which recording passes? Tell me how to pass the written exam. Like that's what they're there for. But again, you want to explain in that first session how it's a learning opportunity. It's to help them increase their coaching skills and their presence and their mindset in their coaching and be more successful with their clients. So if you get somebody that wants that boom, 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 I would, personally, I don't like it. And I will tell people, this is the process. If you don't feel like that's something, that you want to go through, I can recommend other mentor coaches that might be more aligned because I just don't want to be put in that position. Because that also means that if I help them choose a recording and they don't pass, who are they coming to? Me. Oh, you said this would pass. Well, no, I said that I felt like this would be a good recording to submit. That's what I say, right? I feel like this is a good recording to submit. So throughout the process of mentoring, make sure you're returning them to that intention when and if they try to shift it into more of I need to pass this, And I'll give you an example of the recording that we listened to last week. That was his third recording. And so, I've said we'll do 2 more recordings, but that's all of his sessions at that point. And so, but, I gave him my framework because he didn't learn that at his school. He went to this executive coaching thing, got a certification, but it wasn't really fully aligned with core competencies. And then he also had the that assessment one. What was it? I forget what it is now.
Strength
What did I
finders.
say? Yeah, it was Strength Finders.
Strength finders.
So anyway, I said to him, here's my framework. Maybe it'll help you on your next session if you follow it, because it really does allow you to cover all your core competencies at an ACC level at least. And then he started to talk about, well, how am I going to pass this? What kind of recommendation can you give me in order for me to pass? And I said, look, I'm giving you recommendations to cover your core competencies. So if you cover the core competencies, it ties into passing and recording, but I'm not the assessor. I'm not the person assessing your recording ultimately. So I can't tell you it's going to absolutely pass or not pass. And it's discouraging for some people, but they have to pay for mentoring. The mentoring coach can't tell them exactly what's going to happen because we're not the ones doing it. And I'll tell you what, sometimes you get some fickle frickin' assessors. And I've gotten coaches that send me their feedback form right after they fail. And actually, I've only had one client ever fail, but I've had other students from WCI come back that have taken different mentor coaches. I'm like, well, first of all, I don't know why you want me to look at it after you went to a different mentor coach, but that just cracks me up. But anyway, um, so then you have to give them some feedback based off of the ICF feedback that they got. And well, I mean, you don't have to do that. I always do it in the role of a training director, so I can be very specific in what I say, and I don't have to worry about the mentoring piece. But some of that crap is crap that you get back from an assessor.
And do you find that sometimes the people that hired you, like, do they blame you? Like, are they coming back to be like, you didn't prepare me, or
Well, like I said, I only had one person fail.
okay.
And I knew she was going to fail. And I actually said to her, you might want to, so I have an add-on package of 3 more hours that we can do 2 more recordings. And so I will tell people at the end of the 10 hours, we can talk through about which recording I think is the best, because typically they ask me which one's the best. But I will tell you that I feel like you probably need to do a couple more recordings. That's just my opinion. Like, it's totally up to you. And excuse me, typically the ones that take it are fine. Like afterwards, like I said, only that one person, she didn't take it. The extra 3 package at 3 sessions. But then after she failed, she came back and took it.
Yeah.
So she was like, she sent me the report and she said, I guess I need the extra 3 sessions. Like, okay. So, but I have clients who are mentor coaches, and they, like, I take a supervisory role in that case. And so they have come back to me with, yes, coaches that have blamed them. And it can be, it can be devastating from our point of view, like having somebody blame us for something that we really don't have any control over to a certain extent, right? Like as long as we're honest in our mentoring and the feedback that we give in our mentoring, then there's really nothing else we can do. But again, it's very important to, at the very beginning in that first session, and even in your agreement, because I have that in my agreement as well for mentor coaching, that I can't guarantee results. You have to really talk through that, and you have to have it in your agreement. And if you use my agreement as the template, then it's in there. And then if somebody does blame you, then ultimately you just have to go back to that agreement and say, look, I'm sorry that you failed it. But yada, yada, yada. Now I've had people fail the written exam. And that's even less that you can do about that, right? Like that's their knowledge and their memory. And especially at the ACC level now, it is specifically on the written, printout of that core competency and ethics. And the situations, when they do give situational, are based off of those specifically. So now it's just telling them you need to memorize those core competencies and those ethics. Just like it's just like school. When you had to memorize whatever by rote in order to pass your test, like your spelling bee or your whatever, or your, whatever it is. So that's where you have to be really specific there. Now at the PCC level, it's different because, they're given, the whole thing is given situations and they're choosing the best and the worst. So that can be a little bit tricky. Which, they just changed that ACC to be the easier exam. So I did have people failing the PCC one because they were doing it at the ACC level. And really, we only go over it in one session. So it's not like it's something like I say, hey, I'll help you, prepare for this as much as possible. I give them the forms that they can look at, and I say, here's what you should study. And I give them the example questions, and we go over those example questions so they can see the meaning behind it, and helps them to prepare for meaning behind any other questions that they might get on the exam. But ultimately, you don't have anything to do with that either. So you just have to be really clear about that up front. Okay, so some transformative phrasing examples. Instead of saying you didn't go deep enough, say what signs told you the client was ready to explore further. So you're giving that feedback, but you're asking a question, right, that allows them to see that you're maybe questioning about their awareness around that they had to go deep enough or deeper. That part didn't work. Instead of saying that, what do you think the client needed in that moment? Or what do you think worked for the client in that moment? And then maybe they see what didn't work when you ask that kind of question. So our home mentor coaching really helps build internal awareness for the clients, not just their external kind of techniques. Okay, and then some red flags that signal assessment risk. So while you're not scoring mentees, your awareness of red flags can prevent future disappointment and direct them towards deeper development. So red flags to watch for: the coach does more talking than the client. Now I give them that percentage because I can get it. You can get it from anywhere, ChatGPT or Brain Notes or anything. You put the transcription in and you'll get the ask for the percentage. So I always give them the percentage, and what I say is, I'll just say, okay, so the percentage of you speaking versus your client speaking was, 65 to 35%. Typically, we want to stay in the 80-20 range. Every industry has an 80-20 rule, and this is ours. And I just tell them what the rule is, what the 80-20 is. So that's more informative than directing, right? So you want to watch for that. Anytime you see really anything, you can go to 70-30, but anything below that typically would get filled by the ICF assessor. So if you see something that's, again, like 69, 36 or whatever it is, 36, you want to talk to them about doing a different recording. Transactional questions. Now, this can be debatable. At the PCC level, this is going to matter a whole lot more than the ACC level. ACC level, typically, these are the type of questions you're getting. Like, what else? Anything else? When especially when they're doing action plans. Okay, we have this action plan 1 and action plan 2, or action step 1, action step 2. What else? What else? Those are the kind of questions you'll get at an ACC level. PCC level, it's not going to fly, right? They're typically going to need to do something else in that conversation to override what they've done there. But when you hear that on a PCC level, you want to talk about, what are some things that you could do here that would create some depth or, go a little bit deeper for the client versus just asking what else. So you could give them an indication that what else isn't working. ACC, if they do it a lot, like through the whole conversation, I would bring that up again as a improvement for the next recording. Again, what kind of questions could you ask here instead of saying what else? Or what was going through your mind when you were saying like what else repetitively, like 2 or 3 times? And they might say, oh, well, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any other action, items they had. So what else could you have asked? So we'll give them a what else question back. If it lacks a clear agreement or purpose, again, we want to make sure that we address those kind of situations, and definitely at the PCC level, it's not going to fly. So the ACC level, it depends. If they have a topic and typically an outcome, it doesn't have to have a measurement, and sometimes that outcome's not really 100% clear, they can still pass the recording. If a coach avoids emotional or identity content, so again, this is more PCC level. But at the ACC level, it could still fall under like ethics in certain situations. Like if the client I had this happen when a client was sitting there crying, and the coach just kept going, just kept asking the questions, and the client was trying to answer, and the coach was just like staying in that. And I'm like, what possessed you to do that? I didn't understand that at all. So that's really at an ACC level, that would be a problem.
And is that like a coach not being able to be with the fact that this client is emotional?
Yeah, that exactly was the problem with that one. She was like, well, I don't really know how to handle emotions. Okay. And this is going to be a problem in coaching. You really need to figure that
Time
out.
to change careers.
Yeah. Like, this is not going to work.
You might want to become a programmer.
I want to go into coding. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see that though, because some people just can't handle emotion, right? And you need to have that conversation with them without kind of saying what we're saying now. But typically I would just say, I would go into, well, what makes you uncomfortable about the emotion? What can you do to separate yourself from the emotion? But still engage with the client. Like, yes, we have to separate ourselves, our inner selves from that emotion, because otherwise we'll take on clients' emotions and that's not going to be good either. So you have to find that balance. But we can remove ourselves from their emotion and still help them process that emotion and honor it, right? So that's what we have to talk through with them. And then the client's left confused or uncommitted at the close. So yeah, at the end of the session, if the client's really confused and they didn't really get anything out of the session, that's again where I would talk about another recording. He could come say hi. Say hi.
Yay!
Come say hi to Lori and Holly.
Hello.
He said
Where?
hello. He's
Hello.
over there, but he said hello.
Where's
Where are
the
you?
munchkin?
I
Come here.
can't see you.
Come here, come here, come here, come here.
Oh,
There you
so
are.
handsome.
Say hi.
Woof.
Whoa. Do you want to see a woof woof woof?
How cute.
What?
So cute.
He's just learning so many words now. And now he's laying on my, here, you want a pillow?
Like on
He's
your
laying
foot
on my, what do you call it? Walking pad. Go ahead. Lay on it. All right. Anyway, I guess he's gonna stay under my feet.
So
He's actually laying on it
do
like
you
it's a
really?
bed.
Oh God, how cute.
Okay.
So at the end of this call, we don't have to do it now, but I had something happen to me in Strawberry, right? Because I started coaching for them that I didn't expect, that I would love some of your feedback on. So
Yeah.
when we go through before we leave, it kind of
Okay.
threw me off. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, we
Anyways,
can do it now if you want. It doesn't matter.
so I had like they just assign people to you, right? Like you kind of apply for a client and then like you get matched. It's kind of like Tinder, right? And so you don't know what the person is going to be like when they show up. So my first call, I have somebody who is physically and a little bit mentally disabled. And I kind of was like, okay, when I realized what was going on, and I
Mm.
tried really hard to kind of like not show that I was kind of surprised by it.
Yeah.
And once I settled into it, I was okay. And first of all, I was kind of like, okay, well, I clearly need to work on that. But second, I didn't know how deep I can go, because the first call I already had her crying, right? And I didn't know how to gauge that.
So
So I
go
was
ahead.
kind of making an assumption of like her emotional bandwidth, and I didn't know how to gauge that. At first, it made me feel like really awful because I'm like, Lori, you're being such, you know what I mean? And I'll handle that about myself. But two, I thought, am I weird in thinking that maybe they should have kind of given a like it's a multifold here, because I'm like, first, I'm happy it was me that I was able to be empathetic with her, because if it was somebody else that like doesn't do the emotions, I would have felt really bad for her.
Yeah.
And do they have a responsibility to kind of tell us, to prepare us, so that way you could
I
choose
mean,
not to have that client?
I think that, well, two things. I feel like the choice is probably not the best thing. Like, I don't think they should be giving the coaches the choices, because then it can create some dynamics of being prejudiced or,
Yeah.
or whatever. So, but I do think that they should tell you. They should say, you're getting a new client. She's disabled. Here are the things that are, that we've noticed. The other thing though is like maybe they didn't even know like how much in depth do they do in the intake, or are they just having them fill out a form and taking their money and assigning them, like, or somebody having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So those are things that I would look at first. But also what I would say is when you get that person in that first session is that you have that very upfront conversation. You notice that she's disabled and that she's have the conversation about, maybe it's something like, I'd like to get to know what could typically work for you or maybe not work for you during our coaching, just like you would do in your own onboarding.
Yeah.
Like, even though they've had another onboarding, it doesn't matter. It's your first time with that client. So you need to do your own onboarding. And I would say, is there anything that prevents you from yada, yada, yada? Is there a way
Okay.
that you prefer to handle emotional situations? Is there whatever? Like, come up with a list of about 5 questions that you want to ask them when they first get on with you.
Okay. Thank you. Because
That should help.
I've never had that before. And I was just kind of like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I
I
didn't
think
want to,
it's an accessibility thing is why they wouldn't ask you if you want somebody that, that might be disabled.
yeah.
But I do feel like they should tell you, because here's the thing, if you're not equipped, like maybe your coach is not equipped to handle that, then they've just endangered their own reputation.
Yeah. And that's why I
Right.
was surprised, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, wow, they didn't even give me a heads up that this is what was about to happen. So,
Yeah. I mean,
and
and that might
like,
be something that you bring up to them.
yeah. And
Like,
I didn't want to feel like biased. Does that make sense? That's why I kind of wanted to bring it up here because this is such a safe space and I value your judgment, right? But
makes
was
sense.
that fair for me to even think that?
Sure. I mean, we're
Like,
human.
would you have thought that? Like,
My thought would have been like, why the hell didn't somebody tell me?
yeah,
That would have been
yeah,
my thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is where I was. And then I realized I'm like, okay, you're being prejudiced, right? Like you're biased because of her, you know what I mean? And so
Right.
then as I'm going through this, I'm like having to kind of like clear myself of like being surprised that that's what I was given.
Yeah. So I mean, I would have been surprised that nobody told me. I would be like, that's the whole point of onboarding clients, is to find out what they need and what their expectations are, and in this case what their physical or maybe mental or emotional capabilities are. And so because you're working for that organization, I would expect that organization to take that into consideration when they're assigning clients,
Okay.
and have discussions with their coaches on it, because I would think it crosses over into almost unethical behavior for them to do that. um, but again, it's not the assigning piece, it's the, once I assign somebody, saying, hey, I just want you to know that there are some limitations here, and they can form it in a way that doesn't sound, derogatory.
Yeah.
There's ways to say there might be some challenges here with this client because of such and such. Like, I really feel like that's part of disclosure and should be done at the beginning.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Um, so some mentor coach strategy, use feedback like, what was your intention there? How did that last question land for your client? Where in the session did you feel you were most in partnership? This can create some awarenesses as well for the client. Okay, so I've got 5 short coaching scenarios. We're going to read each one and decide, is this coach in or out of role, and why? So scenario 1, have you tried creating a spreadsheet to track your job applications? Is the coach in or out of the role of coach? Out. Why?
Because it's telling them, basically like overly suggesting, well, you need to try the spreadsheets first.
Yep.
If you haven't tried it, you need to try that.
Yeah, so it's giving a suggestion, a strong suggestion there.
Yeah. Oh, do you
Second
want us
one
to use
there, sorry?
do you want us to use the red flag wording that you have for the 5 things?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, actually, so what would you say to the coach there?
what do you think would have served the client better, or what do you think the client needed in that moment?
Good questions. Something
Could
else,
you-
Lori?
Could you also ask like what resources would you be able to, like, if they want to, what resources could you use? I know it's kind of a little leading, but like what resources could you use to track your job applications? If you wanted it specific, like if
You
you
could say
saw.
what resources are available to you.
Mhm, okay.
Yeah. But what I'm asking is, what would you have said to the coach that said that question?
Oh, sorry. Um. Well, if since they're out, be like, Holly, what did you say already? So I don't repeat it.
What would have served the client better,
Mm,
or what could have served the client more? Not better, because then that's judging, right? Oh, what was the first one?
or something along the lines
What do they
like,
needed? What did the client need?
yeah, yeah. I don't know
So
how
those
else
are
I would say that.
those are
you
good, but a really good question for this is the question of what was your intention there?
could you ask, or would you say intention, or could you also say what were you feeling when you asked that question? Or is
You
that
could, but in this case, I would just personally, I would just say, what was your intention with that
okay?
question? Because most likely they're going to come back and say, well, I felt like they were stuck, and so I wanted to help them out. Okay, so then ask about what resources could be available to them. Like Lori said. So let me say, what would you? I'm adding this to the module. What would you say to the coach? Okay, second one. You mentioned last week that you didn't follow through. I think that's something you should work on.
Out,
In role or out of role?
out,
Out of role,
Yeah, why?
because they're telling
advising,
them.
mentoring.
Should. We don't ever should our clients. Okay, so what would you say to the coach in that instance?
I mean, I would tell them that you're telling them what to do. So how can you reframe that, that you're not giving them direction?
Yeah, you could say, well, I think I would try to bring attention around the should. I mean, I do. I usually pick out the shoulds. So I would probably say something like, what's another way that you could have asked that question that really wouldn't have, kind of inferred what they should do or shouldn't do? Or even saying something like, how do you feel the client felt when you asked that question? Because that can bring awareness around, excuse me, intention.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bless you.
thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, 3. What's most important for us to focus on today? In or out?
In.
I think that's in
Yeah. Why?
because you're having
They're
them make the
partnering.
choice. Yeah.
Partnering. Yep. Giving them the choice. Good. And so you can just think like what would be a positive thing to say there. You could say what?
Great partnering.
Yeah. I felt like this was a great partner with the client. 4, when I was in your position, I decided just go for it. You might consider doing the same. In
No.
or out? Yeah.
Out.
Why?
Consulting, mentoring, telling them what they should. Well, there's no should in there, but you might is a kissing
You
cousin, I
might
would say, of should.
You might consider doing the same. That's for people that know they shouldn't say the word should.
Should, right.
And so now now they've done that. That's like, when we use the question, how might you, right? We're trying to avoid
Yeah.
certain language when we say that. And in this one where you might consider doing the same, it's the same thing. So how could you give feedback on that to the coach?
The same thing, like what were you thinking when you were um asking them that? Kind of like what was your intention with it?
Yeah, like why did you ask that question, but saying it in a different way.
Mhm.
Um, or even saying, what is something else that you could do in this moment that would bring awareness for your client? Because if we can ask them about what they can do to bring awareness to the clients, it brings awareness to them, hopefully. Okay, and then 5, you said you're feeling overwhelmed. Can we pause and explore where that's coming from? In or out?
In,
Yep, in. Why?
because they're like exploring emotions. I don't know
Yeah,
how else.
exploring with the client. Um, and also asking permission, right? Having the client really direct choose the direction. So what could you say to the client there or to the coach?
Great job identifying the client was feeling overwhelmed or acknowledging the client's emotions in that moment.
Yep, good. Um, we're not going to do 2 because we don't have a transcript. We don't have the transcription yet, so we're not going to do that yet. um, okay. On 3 for boundary practice, this is basically where the coach wants to correct like what they're doing and how you can help them by staying in your mentoring role versus crossing into any other roles. So just keep that in mind when you start reading transcripts, it gets easier, and listening to the coaching sessions, it gets easier for you to figure these out. But basically pausing, reflecting, or returning it to the mentee is what you want to do, right? You want to ask questions, pause, reflect, return. And then just some things for you to think about for you, like when am I tempted to fix or revise? And this will come after you have your first couple sessions. You can ask yourself these questions. What helps me stay grounded and trust? And then the reflection prompt is, where do you think you'll personally feel pulled to shift into teaching, correcting, or assessing? What do you think?
Oh, teaching for sure. What I did for 20 years. Advising.
Okay. How about you, Lori?
Correcting for sure.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I've spent my whole life doing that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And me too. Mine is teaching, correcting, and assessing, right? Because I've been
Yeah.
doing that forever. Okay, so what boundaries or phrasing can help you stay in your role while still giving clear, supportive feedback?
I mean, when I've come up against it, like when I've coached people that have known me in my previous roles, that's when I've had to say a few times in the session, like, this isn't about me, it's about you. Like if they were, um, asking me like what to tell them or how to do something or, what would you say is the best? Directing, like literally I would like flip it. I'm thinking of one client, like flip it back to them. Well, what feels best to you?
Mhm.
What would you say to yourself? But that's not a reminder for me though, is it?
Mm-mm. but it is a good phrase that can turn it back to the client. But
Need my own mantra.
yeah, so just kind of, maybe taking that example and writing out a little bit of like a mantra you said, or some kind of boundary that you can put around it. How about you, Lori?
For me, it's recognizing it's kind of like, why am I talking, right? If I find that I'm actually talking more than asking questions, then what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
For all the years, like when we were first learning to coach and had all the questions, like, or at least I did, like taped to my screen, and even like reminders when I, was teaching at WCI. And now I'm like thinking, oh, that's so great. I should put a post-it note at the top of my computer that says, why am I talking?
Mhm.
Where for like the first 2 years, it was like, here's what you should say, talk this, use this. Now it's like the complete opposite. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough. I know for sure it's tough. But
I've had weight on my computer for probably
Oh,
20 years because why am I talking? Because in meetings at work, it was
yeah.
always like, it was such a toxic environment that I learned to just keep my mouth shut and like wait until, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But I think
So
I'm going
things
back to
like
it.
that. Yeah, things like that can help. Um, ask, like when I first came out of my corporate job, one of the things I had on my screen, I taped it on a sticky note and put it on my screen for coaching sessions, and my phone when I was doing phone um was ask, because I want to tell, right? And so I would remind myself to ask.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And then permission.
Yeah, permission. All right. Did you find this one helpful? I thought,
Really
um,
helpful.
good,
Yeah.
very good. Because I want to give you tools, not just say this is what you're supposed to do, right? So,
Right.
okay. So we're gonna shift over to a session, gonna listen to a session, get your forms out.
So I assume you all are typing along when you listen,
I do type.
not handwriting. Um, what can I download to type in these PDFs? I thought I had something, but it's not like the markers template. I can't type
I
in it.
just give you a PDF. I didn't give you a Word doc. Or did I say I was going to do that later? I didn't do that yet.
Well, the one I have open, yeah, no, this is, let's see, PDF.
Oh, the PDF should be fillable. PDF should be fillable. But for you guys, you're going to get your own templates to use future. And I haven't done that yet. I have to upload those.
Right.
The one
I don't
for
like,
the ACC and the one for the PCC, which will be a little bit different, but or the ACC one's going to be different than the PCC one. But and then you'll get the assessment forms too. Those will be those are Excel spreadsheets, so they're not PDFs. But for now, you can just write it. You can just open up a Word doc and just do it side by side for today. And I'll make
okay,
sure I upload the Word doc for you guys for next week. Or we're not here next week, but for the following week.
right.
Okay. So we are going to listen to
Good evening, Rupa. How are you?
Okay, good evening.
Welcome. Welcome to our session today.
Yes.
We are meeting today in a safe space. There is no judgment here. Consider yourself talking to a trusted partner. How would you like to start our session today?
Or we can start with, maybe I can tell you what I'm looking for.
Of course.
And so I have a few goals. Maybe you can choose one. One is I want to lose 10 pounds, just so that my knees are kind of stronger then, so there's less weight on them. And according to the BMI chart and all, I should be 10 pounds less, at least 8. So if not 10, at least 8 pounds. So that'd be my goal. And so that's one thing. Second, I am not very much on my schedule for things. Like some days I eat breakfast at 7, some days I eat it at 1 o'clock. It becomes that busy in the morning. And so then everything is pushed back, including my sleep those days. And then I don't go to sleep till I finish certain tasks that I have decided to complete before the bedtime. So,
Okay.
so these are a few things.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that there are a couple of goals that you would like to focus on today. One being, being able to lose 8 to 10 pounds. And second being having a schedule that would work for you with your eating time and sleeping time.
Yes, that sounds right.
Okay. So which one of the two is more important for you to focus on today?
I think if I can manage the schedule, then I can fit the activity for losing weight within that. So, I mean, I have an idea what I want to do, but the time is an issue because
Okay.
a better choice.
What's important to you about getting an outcome with your schedule?
I think that by itself, if I create a schedule to create a healthy lifestyle, that be part of it, and eating everything on time, so that when by the time if I eat late and there's no schedule, then I overeat for that meal. Mostly it is healthy, but still, instead of one toast, it could be 2 toasts. Let's put it that way. So it's like that. Because then it is breakfast and lunch, both goes into one meal.
Okay. So what are the similarities between your two goals? Are there parallel tracks?
Yeah, so what
between the
I'm
two?
thinking is if I create a proper schedule, then I'll fit in the activities that's associated with losing weight also.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that having a proper schedule may be able to give you both goals.
I think that sounds like a plan. Yeah.
Okay. What would a strategy of creating a schedule, proper schedule, give you?
I think a structured life, basically. And, I want to accomplish a lot of things during the course of the day. And so, like right now, I'm just taking care of what is urgent right away, and then the next urgent, and then the next urgent. So there's a constantly attending to urgent, always living in that momentum of getting things done rather than doing it and enjoying it.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your proper schedule that you're wishing for, and 1 being very far away from that goal, where would you say you are currently?
I'd say 6. Between 5 and 6.
Okay. By the end of our session, what would be a good measure of progress on that scale? Well, where would you like to land?
I'd be happy between 8 and 9. Yeah.
What emotion comes up for you when you talk about creating this proper schedule?
I think this has been going.
All right, let's stop there for a second. So let's review the agreement, right? Because remember, the agreement is going to tell a lot about the session. So what, well, first, what do you feel about the agreement? Start with Lori.
I like the fact that she just took her time, went super deep, got a lot of, she focused on what she wanted to talk about. She focused on the importance of it. And then she also got the scale of like the, again, a measure of how important it was. And then the one that I don't know where to fit, but I like the fact that she also linked in what are the similarities between both goals.
Yeah, I think that's really looking at, where is it? Curious about the clients. It could be 5.4. It could be 6.5. Explores perceptions, beliefs, assumptions. And then of course, any awareness like expanding, expands topic and what? So 7.3. 7.4 expands outcome. Could be a lot of those. Okay, Holly?
Yeah, I thought it was really great. I think Lori covered it. I thought it was good that like she asked the topic, agreement, and then this is what I'm hearing. And then outcome, and then this is what I'm hearing. Like she kept the repeating it back to make sure that each of these parts were covered as far as agreement, measurement, and outcome. I'm so used to be like teaching ACC, right? Like you got to get your the what and then the how, or what's that going to look like. And so when she didn't do the measurement first, I was like, oh, no, she missed it.
But she got back to her, right? That's why I
When she
waited.
came back to it, I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So I
So,
need to untrain my own mind of like what I not think is right because she came back to it. And I'm totally aware of that and she killed it. But
right.
it was just funny in my head that I have that thought process.
Yeah. So now, so at an ACC level, this was perfect. But tell me, tell me what you noticed if we were looking at a PCC level. Now you are looking at those markers, but generally speaking, at a PCC level, what would
Well, it
be an
wasn't
area
like
of,
the
go on. What would be an area for improvement?
connecting all of this to like the deeper personal meaning. Like how is this going to help impact you once you have this outcome or
That's a good
something along the
question.
lines? Like,
Yep.
what's this going to mean?
Yeah, that's a good
internally?
way. The importance or the meaning. That's a good way to frame that. That's not what I was looking for, but that's
Oh.
actually valid. No, but that's valid. But there's one thing in my mind I'm thinking on. What else? What about you, Lori?
Um, the only thing that's coming up for me, is that it's a little bit superficial.
By immobility.
It's a superficial goal. So kind of around like what Holly is saying, like the importance of it, like what is underneath it that needs to be addressed as to why she talked about like her knees and like her physical state. So maybe going a little bit
Good
more into
evening,
that.
Rupa. How are you?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
But what are you looking for?
So remember measurements. We want the client to choose the membership, the measurement membership.
Mhm.
So in this case, Bina asked on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mm,
she determined what that measurement was going to be, right?
Hmm.
So
Gotcha.
at a PCC level, we want to have the client identify it. And so it might be more of a question of, um, so she says, what did she say exactly? Would be good. So she says, by the end of our session, what would be good measure of progress on a scale where, where you would be happy between, whatever, and client says between 8 and 9. We want, she said it's from a scale of 1 to 10. So we want, so the better way to do that would have just said, what would be a good measure of progress?
Yeah.
Or what would be a good measure
Mhm.
of success, and stop. Right. So we don't have to, or we don't want to create that measurement for them. Just ask the question and let the client determine it. Now, if they say, sorry, my allergies are so bad.
Bless you.
Maybe the client comes back and says, well, I'm not really sure how to measure that. Well, then we'd have to ask some more follow-up questions, right, to help them to determine that. But anyway. Okay.
Can we
So
take a
let's-
potty break, or
Oh, yeah.
can I
No,
just
that's
go
fine.
and listen?
Oh, you can do that too. Well, how are you going to note
Whatever.
anything
If you guys don't need to go, then I just have my earbuds.
No,
I'll
we
just
can
go
take
quiet.
5 minutes. Let's just take 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here is. Oh, nope. That's transcription. Remember, you're deleting the transcriptions that I give you, please. Okay. Back to the recording. Just easier for you to copy and paste off the transcription.
Are we supposed to be hearing something?
Oh, you're not hearing it?
I'm not.
No.
Sorry. Why did that stop?
Okay. For some reason, I can't open your transcription.
Did you download it first?
I did. Maybe because it's a Word and I'm on a Mac.
I mean, don't you have Word on your Mac?
I do, but it's okay.
Can you open it, Holly?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, it says compatibility mode. I don't know what that means. Oh, I need to activate my Microsoft 365. That's why.
Creating this proper schedule.
All right. Well, let's.
Now it's
I think this has been going on ever, fighting this for all my life, trying to fit things in, and every day I think the day should be 32 hours and not 24. So this is my problem right now. So instead of creating day longer, I can create a schedule, proper schedule.
It sounds like you really want to slow things down and be able to enjoy your time doing your activities in their proper time. How true is that for you?
Mm, I wouldn't call it slowing down, but I want to call it I want to do things that I'm able to do during the 24 hours. Let's put it that way. But I want it a full life. Like I don't want to become lazy in between. And when I am too much into leisure, the body is at certain age right now that, if I stop doing, I'll never go back to it. And that I know. From what I have seen, the progress right now, things that I have stopped doing, I haven't gotten back to them.
What I am sensing is some sense of fear of not being able to do certain things, like not letting go, being able to stay active.
Yeah, there is a fear, definitely. I want to stay active as I am today. And that activity level should be maintained.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about that full life that you want.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start decently early in the morning, say maybe around 5:30-ish. But some days it is not 5:30, some days it is 6, some days it is 6:15, and some days it is even 5. There's no fit, I mean, even if I put alarm, nothing works. If I don't want to wake up, I don't. And so then everything is like a ripple effect, once it starts, then just everything is affected during the day. So then once I wake up, I want to do meditation and then do my stretches and then go for a walk, come back, teach my class, and then have my breakfast and then start my work and work all the way till 5. And then just cook, eat healthy, catch up with family, homework, reading, and house chores, spending time with family. Very important to me.
What I'm hearing is that if you start your day on time or at the proper time for you, for your schedule, many things fall into place.
Yes.
What stops you from getting up at a certain time?
Because I don't, like I said, I don't go to sleep until I finish whatever I have planned, that thing in my head, that if I feel if I don't do it today, it'll be next day added work, and that I won't be able to catch up. So if I have to do research, or I have to do some projects, or I have to do some workshop related things, then that has to be done that day. So there are deadlines also that I need to meet.
How many times a week would you say you are able to stay on your schedule that you would like to stay on?
2 days.
2 out of 7 days.
2 out of 7. 1 to 2, I would say.
Okay. What can happen that would change that number from 2 to 4 or 6?
I think sleep, going to bed between 10 and 11 has to be done. Then only if I go to sleep at 10:15, then only I can wake up at 5:30. I need 7 hours of sleep. I must have that now. So yeah, by latest by 10:30, no matter what. So if I get ready by 10, then I can fall asleep by 10:30. Falling asleep is never a problem. As soon as I hit the bed, I'm gone.
If 10:30 or 10 p.m. is your time that you do want to go to bed, what reminder or what tool can you use sometime prior to that as a cue?
I was thinking maybe I can create to-do list, what is left, and then try to accomplish that first thing the next day. And maybe, if I'm fresh in the morning, that can be done even faster than when I'm very tired. So it's one thing I've always thought about that I can do. But I'm so tired at night that I don't want to even grab a note and write something or nothing. So if I do that ahead of time, that I know by 9:15 that I can't accomplish this, then wrap up. That's it for the day.
How does that make you feel?
I know it is doable once I put my mind to it. I'm just being, I haven't made serious attempts to do anything like that. But now I really want to do it. In this daylight at least. Then it'll fall slowly into the fall weather and all that. Because once it starts getting dark early, things will be difficult. That energy level will change. And I know that.
Yes. So what I'm hearing is that instead of keep working until you're really tired, trying to complete all your tasks before going to bed, another alternative is that just write down everything that still is remaining to be done, make a list, and it will be there for you the next morning. And it may take you less energy while you're fresh and be able to go through your to-do list.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
does that sound when I reflect that back to you?
I think it sounds good also. And then also, I think maybe I don't have to do everything all the time. Like I can drop few things that doesn't make me less active. Physical part, I'll keep up. But all the other laborers work and things like that, that I can drop, I can drop. That doesn't affect my energy level. And I've been thinking about it quite a bit, what to give up.
That is quite an aha moment. I see that shift in your energy and your clarity in the sense that not having to do everything
Hmm.
and also not feel at the same time that you're being less active and be able to give up on certain things. That is a great shift in your approach.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I think it sounds good.
What will that give you with this new approach?
I don't know until I try it out. At this point, I'm kind of, to me, everything that I'm doing right now is very important. So to make anything less important, I'll have to do some search in my head, put down everything that I'm doing on a
How
piece of paper
confident?
and see what I can eliminate.
Yes. How confident do you feel that you will be able to eliminate certain items from your list?
Not very confident right now. Because like I said, to me right now, whatever I'm doing is also very important. It'll be hard decision. But you have to give up something to make whatever you have is doing it right, rather than doing everything in rush all the time.
You are ready to have a new approach to your working style or your wanting to finish all your tasks before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
With this new approach, being able to go to bed on time and leaving the remaining items for the next morning. When would you be able to start that new process?
I'm going to start from tomorrow because
I'm going to stop so we have a couple minutes to talk about it. Okay. So from an ACC standpoint, What are some things that she did well?
Well, she finally went back to the thing I was thinking would have been good at the beginning when she's asking, like, how will this plan impact your life? And trying to get that connection. So I thought I was glad that she asked the question.
Okay. Lori?
I felt she also did really well at like meeting her where she's at. Right?
Mhm.
Like and exploring like her energy and like the clarity around it. Like especially one of the questions where she just asked, like, how confident do you feel that you'll be able to do this?
Yep. Yeah, so for ACC minimum skill requirements, she did really good in almost every area, right? Um, I think PCC, there's a couple more areas to explore as well. What did you notice about that?
The one thing that stood out for me, because I have acute awareness around it, is that she did overtalk her a little
Mhm.
bit. So that wouldn't
She
fly
did.
with PCC.
Yep, she did. Good. What else?
She did explore her I felt like she added the word, unless I missed it, but like her sense of fear around something too. So she started to go down that emotional piece with her.
Mm-hmm. Yep. How about you, Holly?
I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Kind of like, because I'm listening, like, am I listening for PCC? Am I listening for ACC?
Yeah,
And all
so
these things opened, and I
yeah.
can't. I print this one out, and I'm like going back and forth.
So we're just
So
doing general here, not you don't have to give
yeah,
me
okay.
evidence or whatever. But yeah, it's like what can you notice between the two of like the basics and
Hmm.
expanding on it?
So you're asking like where she could have improved some more.
Yeah, to be more in line with the PCC markers.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's subtle things, right?
I mean, she
She
really
does use.
acknowledged.
Go on.
No, go on.
So she uses the phrase "tell me" a couple times.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get.
So a little bit directive. Also, you can't see the percentages, but she spoke 42%, and the client spoke 58%. Now, from a ACC perspective as well, this is, it would be most likely would be a fail
Is
just
that
from
because
that.
she repeated back so much?
Yes, because, and that's the thing, and that's the feedback that I gave her was that she reflected back almost every single section that the client spoke. Um, and of course we don't, now that's an ACC behavior for new coaches, but this was done so much that it skewed those numbers. But I will say that the rest of it was done really well at the ACC level. So if I were to talk about this, like if this was the level one, so she doesn't have to submit a recording. But if I were to talk about submitting a recording to a portfolio applicant or whatever, I would ask them to weigh, depending on their other recordings, right? Like if this wound up being the best recording, I would ask them to weigh the decision of which recording they want to choose, because even though this is the 60-40-ish range, she felt she did really well. And that was, Bina felt like she did really well. And I, agreed with her. I said, in the other areas, this is really done well at an ACC level. But if you were going to submit this, then you have to leave it up to them. What were your feelings around submitting this knowing that the ratio is a little bit out of what we would typically say is passing. So that's sometimes the feedback, sometimes how you have to frame it so that they consider and it becomes their choice. And if they say, yeah, I want to submit it, then, then that's fine. Then they can get that feedback. And I'll tell you that I am 99% sure that there's sometimes that's been out of whack and they've still approved it, even though they say that it would not be approved. I don't tell the mentees this stuff, by the way. This is just for us to know, because we don't want to create any ambiguity or whatever towards the ICF or whatever, because it can be really sloppy. Sometimes, like I don't like that Matthew talks about what the ICF does and doesn't do wrong. Like he talks about it in a public arena. And to me, it just doesn't have any purpose. Like, why make the mentee feel like, what they're doing isn't really counting or isn't really like, why do that? I don't agree with that. But anyway, that's my opinion. So I wouldn't do that. I would just pose that type of question, which I already said. How would you feel about submitting that since you feel like you're confident that this is a good recording, even knowing that that ratio is a little bit skewed from what we would typically say is a passing recording. Okay, any questions from today?
What's coming up for me for today is, and thank you, because I find like I kind of struggle a little bit about like what to put where, right? Like where does this question fall in the whole scheme of things? And what I recognize I'm doing is I'm like using the PCC, even the like the distinction between ACC and PCC, like in my brain is finally clear. And I'm literally sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, I should probably make one of these forms for ACC and one of these forms for PCC.
I'll have the ACC one for you.
Right. So that way, like, I'm kind of like saying to myself, I'd rather overscore them and they make it really valuable for them and then have it be that they pass on the minimum for the ACC. Right? Does that make sense? Am I thinking of that the right way?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do anyway. Like all my assessments are done on the PCC markers and I just tell them. It's just like the level 1.
Yeah.
Like we told them, you don't need to meet all these PCC markers. We're going to go with a 16 score on the PCC markers, passes you at the ACC level. But if you want the actual PCC feedback, then you need to do 23.
Okay.
So I did it as a score difference.
Yeah. Great.
For the classes. But now in your mentoring, you can't do it like that. But you could say, I'm looking at these PCC markers as the areas for development. And so when I give you feedback, we can point to these PCC markers. However, understanding that you don't need to be at this level at the ACC. It might confuse some people. Some people might be okay with it.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you the ACC one and you could use it, you could do it either way. It's up to you.
Okay.
I'm finding it. I'm sorry, Lori, go on.
No, please go ahead. No, I'm good.
Well, I think what's like throwing me off is like when I just was taking notes there and like writing down, it was good. But then I look at the markers and then I get like, oh, then I think I'm distracting myself by trying to find the right marker. So I'm not really figuring out like the best approach for me yet. Like when you listen, you said that like first time we're just listening, right?
Yep.
So if this was our second time, I mean, would you do more of the notes? But you have them memorized, so it's not fair to ask you. I just don't have these like, do I just need to get these memorized? Do I need like flashcards and get these memorized first?
So here's the thing. Here's what I would suggest and how I originally started is you listen to the recording once and then on the second time you're taking notes. You're just taking notes. And
Okay.
then you're using the transcript to fill out your form.
Okay.
So you're not having to list, pause, write in an evidence or anything, right?
Yeah.
You're using the transcript and based off your notes, you can go, you can look at what you were saying in your notes, copy and paste it in as evidence, whether or not it's ACC or PCC.
Okay, okay, I can do that. Because I
Yeah,
was good
that's-
at first when we started with the agreement, but then in the second half, and then there was the transcript, and I was like, I don't know where to focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's different because we're in a class, right? Like you're not sitting there with
Right,
the
yeah.
recording on your own time going through it at your pace.
Mhm.
Which you are going to do because that's part of the second half of this, this course is where you're going to get recordings. You're going to
Right.
do it
We
on
just
your
wanna
own,
be
and then we're going to
efficient.
discuss it back in the class. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So I'll get the ACC one to you guys today if I can. I do have 2 other meetings and a training, but besides that, I should be able to do it today or tomorrow. So you'll have both the ACC and the PCC one in front of you.
Okay.
And then when we do the in-class ones, I'll tell you which to look at. We could do it both ways.
Okay.
We could do the first time at the ACC and then the second time the PCC or whatever. We can flip from them. And then when you do the, you're on your own, when you get those assignments, we'll specifically say we're doing ACC or we're doing PCC.
Okay.
Okay.
And Cheryl, you and I are meeting today. Does that still work for you?
Yes, that's it
Okay.
too, right?
I don't know. My time's all, I think 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 2.
Okay.
Let's see. 2:15.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So I will send you guys, oh, so we don't meet next week, we meet the week after, but I will send you I'm gonna send you 3 things. I'm gonna send you the ACC form, feedback form, I'm gonna send you module 6, and I'm gonna send you an assignment. Since we have these 2 weeks, I'm gonna have you do a recording, and I'll tell you exactly which one to look at, either ACC or PCC. Or maybe I'll just
Okay.
have you do both, and you'll have to go through it twice. Once with the ACC
Mhm.
form or once with the PCC form.
Okay.
That'd be
Okay,
good.
so I'll be sending
Okay.
you all that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
For next
What?
Thursday night, I'm coaching. John and I are going to be in Cape May, so I didn't know if I could coach right at the beginning and then I'd miss the second half of the class, or we do it like as at the end and then like we can have dinner and then I'll like pop on. There's nobody to
Um,
switch with. It's like Lori's gone, Marcy's gone. So I was trying to see, Georgie's gone. I was like trying to see, hey, would someone just flip with
I mean, if,
me?
if I would have known everybody was going to be gone, I would have just made that the week that we didn't have class
I
instead of this
know.
week. But then, and then when I was looking to change things, it was like looking like it was going to be really confusing, so I didn't do it then either. But
And
yeah, we
mine
can do
just
it right
came
at
up, so it's on me. Like mine just came up. Mine, I didn't know ahead of time. I couldn't have even told you. So
yeah, I mean, just we'll do it at the beginning.
okay,
Yeah, we'll do
good.
it at the beginning, and yeah, we'll just do it that way.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.